Plugger Lockett, he was like a giant of our game. He was a huge man. No one ever wanted to play on him. Were you scared?
A little bit. It was probably a good thing I was still at school in the first year or so, because I didn't sort of take myself too seriously. I didn't think about it too much. My mum used to go to bed nearly crying every week because she was worried about me getting snapped in half, and so was Dad really. But Tony Lockett at 120 odd kilos, and the way he played his footy, yeah, he didn't have too many nice dreams the night before when you played on guys like that. He was, at times, an angry man. He was, no doubt, one of the best players ever played against. You know, the goals he kicked and what he did. So you only had to have that look about him. And I was wary that not to say anything. You know, I didn't shake his hand, he didn't shake mine. And I grew up watching footy, so I knew what Plugger was about, especially the footy, you know, pre-me, back in those days where basically anything went. And the first time I played him, I was 17, it was up at the SCG, and Plugger would have been 115 kilos. And I was 79 kilos, and it was probably 50 kilos difference in our weight, and I was 6'5". So Plugger would have been probably 6'2", 6'3". So he had me for weight. I used my skill. I was quick, and I could, you know, play from behind and get a fist in. So I used to just go and stand behind the forwards because that's how I played them. But Dean Wallace had a bit of a different theory. He thought fire him up, you know, get him going, and I didn't like that theory because I was a man playing on him, and I'd be behind him saying, you know, Wally, just
don't say a word.
I'm doing the job, just keep it quiet, because if he fired up, he'd take you out. But up at Sydney with the SCG, the boundaries were actually quite close. I think Matthew Richardson has done his knee there around that time because you had to pull up quite quickly, and I don't remember too much of it apart from being in front. I think I dropped the mark and I paddled the ball, you know, well and truly outside 50. I think I nearly got up to the wing. So he was chasing me all the way down, and I got to about 1.5 metres, 2 metres from the boundary line. I thought I'd just tap it out as you could back then. There were no free kicks with deliberate, and it's funny when a big bloke's running behind you and you sort of feel like something's coming. Yeah, it was basically an almighty push right in the back. I remember, you know, either head first straight into the fence, which wouldn't have been great, or over the fence. And so I managed to sort of, in a way, it was a massive push that got me over the fence. And you don't think about it too much, but I remember even looking back on the footage, there were arms and legs that probably covered about 10 seats with pies, drinks, Coke. Stuff was going everywhere. I think I cleaned a few up, you know, 2 or 3 rows back. You know, you can imagine the crowd, everyone's into me. So I managed to dust myself off. I remember running back, you know, when I got on the ground, and Plugger sort of had his head was heading towards, you know, back towards the goal square, and I still wasn't sure what to do, whether to say something or not, but I got back to close by, and Plugger sort of, I said, never said a word to me, but he mumbled sort of something, and I thought in my own head it was a bit of a sorry or, oh, don't worry about it type of thing. But that was the only words he said to me in the years I played on him. And probably about 1.5 years later, maybe 2 years, it might have been, we drafted, our number 1 draft pick back at the time was Mark McVeigh. Big Sydney Swans supporter as a kid. Used to go to the footy with his brother Jared and Tony and the family every week. And I picked him up from the airport. It was his first day on the job, and I was a little bit older, so I drove up and picked him up. And he said, oh, do you remember me at all? I said, oh, not really. I said, I'm right here at the club. You know, it's good to see you at the club. And he said, oh, you remember when you got thrown over the fence up in Sydney? And I said, yeah, that was a couple of years ago. And it's funny looking back at the footage, but there was a young Mark McVeigh and Jared McVeigh absolutely tearing strips off me. I was probably thinking, oh, I might, you know, go past Broadmeadows or somewhere and drop him off there and show him the real Melbourne. But that abuse I copped off not only him and his and probably his family, but the crowd. That's just footy, isn't it?